We're going to tackle the exhaust system on the Fury today, y'all. First thing we need to do is to get this thing up in the air. I already got it jacked up, got wheel ramps underneath of it. I went ahead and dropped the starter. That's a junk starter. It's been giving me issues, so we're going to replace that while we're under there. But today's video is going to be mainly focused on the exhaust system. So I'm going to shimmy underneath here, cut out all this rusty old crap, and I'll be back with you. Well, I'm knee deep in the middle of the exhaust job on the Fury, and as you can see, we've got all the old rusty crap out. It's pretty shot, to say the least. And I've got the manifolds broke loose from the collectors, and I got a little issue with this one. We got a crack that we got to deal with somehow, and somebody's been in here before and did us a favor by removing this heat riser flap. But we're going to go ahead and whack off this bracket, and if we have to, we'll knock that pivot pin out and weld that hole up, so that'll be less junk in our way. I was going to plan on reusing those flanges there, but I might end up just going and buy some new stuff, because I don't know if I got a bend in my kit that'll match that. It's pretty tight coming down from the manifold, sneaking past the torsion bar. So I'll have to look in my kit and see what I got. But you see, all this old junk was held together with hose clamps. It was just cobbled together. The old $25 special Harbor Freight didn't do too bad. I'm debating whether I'm going to paint this block while I got the exhaust manifolds off of it and got easy access to the side of it, but I don't know if I'm ready to give up that ratty look or not. I might just scrape off the loose paint and degrease it and leave it like it is. And I got lucky and only removed one stud, so we didn't lose that much antifreeze. That middle stud there was the only one that came out, so I had to break that nut loose from it. We'll chase all our thread holes and clean up our studs and nuts and have it ready to go back together. But yeah, let's get to mocking up this new stuff and see how we're going to route this new exhaust past this torsion bar. So it's a different day, and we're back on the exhaust project on the Fury. I've got the manifolds prepped. As you can see, we had to make a minor repair with some JB Weld. There was a crack developing right there. That may or may not hold. I used the highest quality JB Weld that they had. It appeared somebody had made a previous repair on the other side of this manifold, but that definitely couldn't hurt it none. So we filled that crack, wire brushed them, hit them with the MAP gas torch to get any impurities off of them, and then I coated them with this high heat Rust-Oleum grill paint. I've used this stuff before on wood stoves, and it's held up excellent, and it's rated for 1200 degrees. So you can get this in an aerosol, or you can get it in a brush on. I believe the brush on is rated for 1500. I've used that on wood stoves several times, and that's held up excellent. So we've got these things looking halfway decent. I was going to reuse the flanges that were on it, but one of the ears were broken off of the downpipe, so I had to go pick up some new flanges, and I was able to find these at O'Reilly's. I had to order them, but for 1/2 inch stick. I had to do a little digging around on O'Reilly's website to find the correct ones for the size pipe that we're going with. I ordered a 2.5 inch kit, and the pipe that was on the car was a 2 inch. So to find the correct size flange with the correct bolt pattern, I had to do some digging around. And just in case you're doing something similar to this, center to center on these bolt holes is 3.5 inches. So I had to find a flange that would accommodate that, and this one matches up perfectly. I'll give you a look at the part number. from O'Reilly's. They were kind of pricey. A lot of the 2-inch flanges were like $5.99 a piece. These were $19.99 each. So I had $40 in 2 flanges and only got $80 in the exhaust pipe kit. So yeah, they're nice 1/2-inch thick flanges. So hopefully that'll get the job done. The driver's side did not have a manifold gasket on it, but the passenger side did, and as you can see, it's blowed out in several spots. So we got some new gaskets to throw back on it. Hopefully this will fix our exhaust leak issue. And if I didn't mention it before, I went ahead and ground off the spring and the flapper arm. The pivot pin is still in there. As long as those holes are plugged up, I'm going to leave them. That little bitty pivot pin is not going to interrupt any flow no more than what this 90-degree bend I'm about to put in it is. I know this is not going to be ideal having a straight 90 coming off the manifold, but to clear the torsion bar and everything else that's in the way, this is the only option I'm going to have unless I had access to a tubing bender, and I don't. So the idea we're going after here, I'm going to temporarily tack this flange up so we can test fit this manifold with this downpipe and make sure everything's going to line up and we're going to have clearance around the torsion bar, and then we'll come back and burn this in. I've been practicing with that little Harbor Freight welder. It's not going to be pretty, but will it be functional? Yeah, I think I can make it functional. Like I said, I'm not setting out to be the next Jesse James or Paul Tuttle. So as long as it's functional, doesn't have any leaks, and I don't have to worry about it a week or two down the road falling off, I think I'll be good with it. I'm going to try to record as much of this as possible, but it's kind of tight underneath the car, so you might be on the 360 camera, which is going to be vertical video more than likely. So let me tack this up. We'll do a test fit. Y'all stay tuned. I'll give you a look at the setup. I used I don't know if this is original or not. I don't think it is, but it could be. But this was the downpipe that was on the car. As you can see, it had a really sharp 90 as soon as it comes off the manifold, and I used that as a guide for my new pipe. And I'm making all these cuts with a death wheel, so they're not going to be the most precise, cleanest cuts, but that's pretty darn close. Let me take you to the car and see what it looks like. So over at the car, I've got the manifold bolted up on the passenger side, just with 2 bolts holding it on. That way it's flush against the block. And I've got the flange bolted up with the hardware down, the new hardware that I'm going to be using. That's the new 1/2-inch flange. So now I can climb underneath there and mark my clocking position as far as what angle I want that 90-degree to be facing, because it's got to sneak past that torsion bar and hopefully go to the cross member where the factory exhaust is ran at. So I've got the flange and the pipe marked where I need to tack it at, so we're going to tack this up, and then we're going to go back and test fit it and make sure the angle is correct before we burn it in. Quick update for y'all. I know it's not pretty, but we got the downpipe for the passenger side finished. I definitely need some more practice at this welding, but like I said, it's not pretty, but it's functional. Especially in these tight bends right here, it's hard. I got that helmet turned down as far as it'll go, but I'm having difficulty seeing the puddle. It's like it's too dark under that helmet, but I've got it turned down as low as it'll go. But yeah, I just basically took and shortened up that 90. And then I took the scrap ends off of that 90 and extended this. And then I had a 45 that I cut in the middle of the 45. So once we bolt this up to the manifold, this should line up almost exactly where the factory cutout is in the cross member. Gotta clean this edge up some. Give y'all a quick look at the madness I got going on underneath here. I've got that downpipe completed. Now I'm working on the short straight piece to go past the cross member. And I've got that braced up on a jack stand, held up with some bungee cords. I've marked it with my Sharpie. And now I'm going to slide underneath here and tack it. Then we can take this downpipe off and fully weld this piece. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to see something right here. I'm going to get underneath here and tack this thing up. Hopefully I can see something when I get underneath here. Turn the machine on. We'll check the settings. Trim the stick out. More to it than it looks like, but I haven't got frustrated yet, so I'm still trying to learn. Try not to cut my ground cable with this creeper here. Got my ground on. I'll give you a look at what it looks like from the outside. Keep in mind that the car is sitting on ramps right now and it's jacked up in the air. So the car is not sitting level, but the camera is sitting level. There's currently no hangers on it, but I still gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for a hanger situation. But it should be plenty of room to clear. The exhaust and muffler's tucked up in there pretty good. Actually, I can't get it tucked up in there any farther unless I want it beating against the floor. And then I gotta kick this tailpipe out over here. I think I'm gonna take that 180 bend and cut it in half. Okay, I kind of jumped ahead of y'all here. It's the next day and I've already got this driver's side downpipe fabricated. That one is super tight. I mean, it clears the frame rail, but it's really tight against the torsion bar. But I got it knocked out nonetheless. Not the most beautiful welds, but they'll do the job. You gotta crawl before you can walk before you can run. So we're learning as we go. But let me show you what we're gonna do for the rest of the system on the driver's side. So here's the kind of method to my madness. This is the passenger side completed. I still got to put the tailpipe on it, but we'll get to that. I needed to go grab a 2-foot piece of pipe here, and I used up one of my 45s on the passenger side. I hate that this side is not going to match the passenger side with the manual bends, but it is what it is. My first time, so haven't wasted too much material yet. So far, I only got one little scrap piece over there that's not being used. But nonetheless, I've got these set up side by side. The passenger side's already done. I like the location where it's going to come out at. So I'm trying to mimic that as close as possible on the driver's side. And I've got it laid side by side, flat on the concrete. And I've measured this on both of them from end to end to get the closest match as I could. Those 45s, they're not going to be exactly the same because that one is mandrel bent, but we got them within a 1/8 of an inch, so I think that'll do. You're not going to be able to see both sides of the car at one time anyway, so let me clean these pipes off and get these stickers off, and we'll tack this in. And just like that, I finally got the car back on the ground with the finished exhaust system. Still need to run a tailpipe extension, but for right now you can't see it standing at standing heights, but if you're back from a distance or you kneel down, you can see the angle of the tailpipes there. I had to do a little different routing on the driver's side to accommodate for the emergency cable, emergency brake cable on the driver's side, but we got it pretty close to the passenger side. I still got to put hangers on it, but other than that, she's done, y'all. Doesn't hang down too low. And unfortunately, I cannot give you a sound test right now because I went to crank it the other day and we got a hole in the valve cover that's squirting oil all over the exhaust manifold. So we're gonna have to wait till we can acquire some valve covers. The manifolds look good. Let's see how long they last. But yeah, on this passenger side, the bracket that used to hold the plug wires on the valve cover decided to let go. And I tried to booger weld those 2 rivet holes up, but it didn't work out. We still got oil squirting all over the passenger side. So I'm gonna grab some valve covers. I found some on Marketplace. I'm gonna try to pick them up tomorrow. That way we can get them swapped over and give y'all a sound test of these Black Horse single chambers behind this big block 400. But anyways, I appreciate y'all for watching. Hope you got something out of this. If you did, consider hitting that subscribe button. Smash the like button, share this with a friend, and we'll see y'all in the next one.